What up, y'all? Welcome back to File Notice Media. I have Wiggle Swivel in the house. That's what I do. So you'll get an idea on why I just did that at the end of the video. Anyhow, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate you. Hit the like button before you even know what the content's about because you'll like it anyway, I promise you. Lord of War, God of War, all the wars that people are in power over is getting a movie, it looks like. So this is going to be the God of War movie. I got some good updates from you. This is from Screen Rant. And I haven't read through the whole article yet, so hopefully we'll get some surprises and we'll see what's cool. I just kind of skimmed over the first couple. In case you haven't noticed, it's normally what I do. Anyhow, let me go ahead and get this started for you. This is, like I said, brought to you by Screen Rant. It is written by Ben Sherlock, and it came out today, so I'm keeping you updated with the highest news and God of War movies, updates, and what fans should know. God of War has been a long-time crown jewel of the Sony's video games empire. Microsoft has always had Halo to sell its Xboxes, while Sony has always had God of War to sell its PlayStations. And that's so true. I'm a big Halo fanboy. I ended up just getting the Master Chief Collection because I love all those games. I also love the God of War series. I remember playing the God of War, I want to say it was 1 or 2, I'm not too sure, all the way back in high school. It had to be like 15 to 18 years ago. And so it's been long going, and I really, really like it. I'm like, obviously it's amazing. And then with the new God of War that came out, where you were, fighting kind of more Nordic things and like the gods and the bad guy and just everything. I really liked especially the revamp of the newest God of War with, you have your boy and the wife dies and like, it was a great, great story. No spoilers. That's all like immediately in the opening. But anyhow, it's super cool and I would love to see an on-screen adaptation of this. I don't know about Halo. I think we might just need to keep the video games to the video games, but God of War could absolutely have a movie made out of it. There's so much to it, and that's very interesting and compelling. Anyway, but let's keep going. Just like Halo, God of War has a big budget live action movie adaptation on the way that keeps digging in and dipping out of development hell. Unfortunately, that's always how it kind of goes with video game movies. With all the directors, writers, and actors that have come and gone from the project, it can be difficult for fans to keep up with how things are going. So, here are some God of War movie updates and what fans should know. Number 8. The first draft was written by Road to Perdition's David Jaffe. Road to Perdition is an amazing, amazing movie. It has Tom Hanks in it along with other really great actors. It's a great story. I want to say that the big shootout in the middle of the road with the rain coming down was just such an epic part, and there was a lot of great things about that movie, but especially the writing. The story was very, very good. If you haven't seen Road to Perdition, check it out, because it's good, I promise. The last word on God of War movie script was that it was being written by Marcus Dunstan and Patrick Melton, who have penned a bunch of horror movies together from a handful of Saw sequels like Piranha 3DD. Now, if you know these guys, I don't know, I'm really hoping we don't get a God of War that ends up being like the original Doom movie where it's like really kind of campy and cheesy. I hope they don't go that way. It does worry me that the writers of people like Piranha 3DD are writing this. But maybe this is like a bigger budget for them. It'll give them like a chance to shine. It just, ugh. However, they have been working from the first draft that was written by David Jaffe, who is best known for writing the crime pick Road to Perdition and reworking the script from Benicio del Toro's remake of The Wolfman. Still, Jaffe, the writer, will still act as an executive producer on the project, which will make God of War his first ever production credit. So that's super exciting for Jaffe. Like, I like most of his work, so to actually work as a producer on something, I'm pretty curious to see how it's going to come out. Number 7. It will be vastly different from the Immortals and Crash of the Titans, which is very, very good. Like, I don't want another Immortals, Crash of the Titans, Hercules, all that crap that they've been trying to do that just doesn't really sell good. I mean, dude, there is even a movie with Lannister, the guy Lannister, the brother from Game of Thrones, had his own movie, and that movie was not good either. Unfortunately, like, you can't keep doing movies that follow that premise and that time period. Like, you got to do something new. It's way too played out. There's at least 40 movies that's come out in the last like 3 years that involve that kind of stuff. So it has to be different to get audiences to come to it, unless they're just going to ride the wave of the God of War name. The God of War franchise has its roots in the swords and sandals movie genre, unfortunately. A couple of recent big budget productions have made homage to the genre, like Immortals and the CGI Latin remake of Clash of the Titans. Marcus Dunstan, one of the writers working on the game's adaptation, says their film will be totally different from those movies. Those movies can inform the God of War movie to step in a more bold direction, not to join those ranks, but to stand head and shoulders apart, like other re-innovations have done within that genre. The satisfying element is to look at those movies as a commentary on the genre, and now say something different. So that's a good sign. I really, really hope they're not just PRing it, because that makes this a little more interesting. So I hope you like it. Number 6. The budget is $150 million, but it still hits you right in the feels. Screenwriter Patrick said, with God of War, the studio's saying we're going to spend $150 million to make this movie, we really need to understand this character and get behind him and feel his pain and feel his emotions, so that with he is in these giant set pieces, we're there with him and we're feeling it. That is a critique some of these big budget action films, is what they often get too big and just become noise, and you're not invested in that character. Well, at least Patrick knows what the freak he's talking about, because that's really true. These big grandiose movies that they come out with, like it's just a popcorn, sit down, enjoy the movie, blah blah blah. You don't like get invested in the characters at all. I think that's been a lot of issues with DC. I mean, Justice League, you know, who's going to relate to any of these characters in Justice League? Even Aquaman, as much as I like Aquaman, it's really just a dumb sit down and enjoy the movie, really. There's no relatable characters in Aquaman. So hopefully they're going in a really different direction than some of what those producers have tried to do, and make this to where it's like you can put yourself in the shoes of the God of War. Like, that would be crazy. I really hope that they're able to do that. To put $150 million into perspective, a surefire hit like The Dark Knight Rises or Captain America Civil War will cost upwards of about $200 million. While a riskier R-rated blockbuster like Deadpool or Logan, it takes about $1 million to make, give or take. So the studio sees God of War as being somewhere in between those two risk factors. Number 5. It might not be faithful to the game. Now, before I even get into reading this part, hey, dude, I don't care. If you're not faithful to the game and you're not following like these precise storyline elements, that's okay. Take the idea and take the structure of which these awesome game developers have made and just build on it. You know what I mean? Like, that's exactly what they did with the newest God of War, technically number 4, is it really kind of reinvented the game. And so when you're going to do a movie like this, like, reinvent the character. We don't have to have all these particular things. That's one of my big gripes with people with the comic book movies. Let's just take the core aspect of this character. If we want to keep their morals the same, then keep their morals the same and make your own story out of it. Maybe get a couple, like, oh, I really like this comic book run, or hey, like this part from this game was really cool. Let's like kind of throw an homage to that in there, as just like a good kind of nostalgia feels. You don't need to base a whole movie off of it. So that's good. I like this. The problem with a lot of video game movies like Tomb Raider is that they feel more like a video game than an actual movie. But the God of War might not be wholly faithful to the game, according to the screenwriter. Dunstan said God of War has been allowed by the studio to be a terrific film. It does not just have to be faithful to the game. because video games are built for, and I think, a different bit of more of a loud between fantasized film, which is sometimes a different paradigm than engineering a game. It just is. I cannot wait for someone to get their eyes on it and see it, because it is a wonderful experience. Number 4, Stephen S. DeKnight is in talks to direct. So Stephen S. DeKnight, he's directed a couple of really good things. I'll just stick specifically with the article mentions. He directed Pacific Rim Uprising, the second one, and was Daredevil's showrunner in its first season. And the first season of Daredevil was really, really amazing. So like this guy directing a movie like this, I think it will feel epic, but yet like grounded at the same time. So this is good. Especially with like Daredevil. Daredevil felt super real. Like all the fighting in Daredevil, I was like, oh my God, this is like a punch down, drag out fight. If you haven't seen the first season of Daredevil, watch it. The second season's very good too, with the introduction of Punisher and all that great stuff. But yeah, check it out. It's reported and in talks with the studio to direct the movie adaptation of God of War. He has some bold ideas for it too. He has plans to adapt the game in the same way one might adapt a novel. DeKnight explained, I have some earlier conversations with the good people at Sony PlayStation about it, and my biggest thing is, look, you gotta approach it like a book. Approach it like adapting Jaws. For people who've read Jaws, the movie is very different, but they're both fantastic. So you have to be able to take the source material and make it work as a movie. Number 3, the studio is letting the writers go nuts with the script. Usually, when a film studio is spending a lot of money on something, they have executives peering over the writer's shoulder to make sure that they're using that money, not for anything too outlandish. But according to Marcus, one of the writers hired to work for the God of War movie, the studio execs have been encouraging the more outlandish stuff. God of War has turned in last week, and by God, the reason I cannot wait for you guys to see it is that because the door was left wide open to be bold. And that is why that movie, I really hope it sees the light of day and coming out charging, because it's like a lightning strike. I like hearing that the writers are excited, that the execs are letting the writers do what they do and write and create great stories and epic feels. Like, I don't want to get too excited because I really, really love the game and I'm really wanting to love the movie, but it's sounding like it's good so far. It sounds like they are being pointed in a direction and being let loose in that direction. So that's really, really good as far as cinematography goes, as far as aspects of filmmaking goes. Like, let them make the movie. Don't let the execs tell them, we need this in here and we need that in there. And remember this in the game, you need to put that in there too. Like, the fans are going to know it, and the people that aren't fans that happen to go see this movie are not going to know what you're talking about either. So it's like, do it. Just do it and do it good. Number 2, Dave Bautista might be playing Kratos. After leaving his wrestling career behind, it didn't take too long for Dave Bautista to become a huge movie star. Despite his roles in Spectre and Blade Runner 2029, Guardians of the Galaxy is what gave him his break in Hollywood. His character Drax lost his family when he went out seeking revenge, a little like Kratos. This is very true. Kinda, but not really. When it was reported that Stephen DeKnight was in negotiations to direct the movie and that he was asked who he'd like to cast as Kratos, he said, immediately, for me, Dave Bautista would be the man. I think he can do anything. Drama, real emotion, humor, action. Bautista has publicly said he's unhappy with the turn Drax took when his revenge side was softened. And he was made more of like the comic relief, for the Guardians of the Galaxy films. Kratos would give him the opportunity to play that sort of role, the badass seeking revenge. So, hey, I like that idea. Like, Dave Bautista, I just saw a trailer. He's going to be in a movie called like My Spy. It's basically a kid's movie. But when I saw him, I was like, man, he's looking grizzled, dude. And now that I hear this, that they're talking about him being in the God of War movie, like, that makes a lot of sense to me, man. He's yoked up, and I'm sure he'd be willing to show it off. But I think Dave Bautista would probably be a pretty darn good choice. I can't think of anyone else off the top of my head that I think would be a really good fit for Kratos. If you can, put it in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. Number 1, we'll see Kratos' backstory. While the original game dives right in after Kratos has lost his family, the movie will apparently tell his backstory. We'll see him in battle as a Spartan captain and get tricked by Ares, with the screenwriters comparing their characterizations of Kratos to the Batman Begins, which isn't a bad thing. Marcus, one of the movie's writers, said, in the same way that Batman was grounded by Christopher Nolan's rendition, we are attempting to do that with Kratos, so that when we meet him, we're seeing him before he became the ghost of Sparta, when he was just a Spartan warrior, and he had family and kids and all that good stuff. So that's the end of this article. I hope you're a God of War fan. I hope that hearing this might get you excited for the God of War movie. As far as I know at this point, there's no anticipated release date. I believe they're saying it's going to be coming out late 2020, but that's just rumors so far. I mean, they're still in pre-production for this thing. They're writing it up and they're trying to figure out what's being done. I'm sure at this point they're probably just working on storyboarding the movie to seeing how they're going to end up shooting it and all that good stuff. I mean, hey, we haven't even confirmed who the lead actor is going to be yet, but hey, this is something that I know that I'll be keeping an eye on. So if I'm keeping an eye on it, I'll be keeping an eye on it for you too. If you made it to the end, I appreciate you. Please like, it's over there, and then sub, and then hit the bell, because notifications don't really matter. Sharing by word of mouth, sharing on social media is always great too. Thank you so much for the love and support. I super appreciate you. See you later. Ah, are you gonna hit me with that?
Yeah. I said you.
You'll get me?
Yeah.
Please don't get me too hard. Okay, I'm ready. I'm ready, baby.
Yeah, I'm ready too.
Oh, you're ready too?
Yeah. Hi.
What do you like to watch on TV?
TV?
Yeah, what do you like to watch on TV? Do you like We Bare Bears?
No.
Really? What about Oddbots?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite thing that you like to do with Daddy?
Yeah.
What is that?
I do not see Daddy.
Oh, that's very specific and growly. Oh God! You're so tiny and so mean. Oh! Oh no! Oh no! Ow! We messed everything up. Hold on.